Salutations, fam. This is Dark Slayer from Haltessiagaming, and in today's video, I've got another deck profile, but this one will be more of a kind of update video and more of like a story video where I talk about the event as opposed to really focusing most of the video on the actual deck profile. Um, as as you guys may know, I uploaded a deck profile last week talking about a regional that I went to where I ended up bubbling. One of the things that I mentioned in that video was that there were a couple of changes that I wanted to make to the deck, and they were very minor changes, and how, like, if I cleaned up my play a little better, I felt as I could have topped. Well, as it turned out, there was actually another regional in one of these surrounding states, and a couple of my friends were going, so I was like, hey, let me get a ride. And yeah, I did end up managing to top that one. I was, very happy. I had a good time. The community was very welcoming. A lot of people were, really, friendly. I didn't really run into any of those people who were like, I have to win the game at all costs. This is, the most important thing in the world. You're not a human to me. You are an obstacle for me to destroy, blah, 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 blah. I didn't run into anybody like that. For the most part, everyone was just, okay, yeah, we are here to, like, win. We are here to take the game seriously. But at the end of the day, we're treating each other like human beings. Yeah, but there were also, a lot of really strong players there. YCS winner Elijah Green was actually there. And there were a couple of players that I recognized. Yeah, that was one of the things about it that was very, very surprising. Yeah, I was a bit demoralized at first because I had a early loss in the tournament. I think it was like round four. I ended up losing to a very unfortunate situation. I had two draws the 2 rounds prior to that, so my record was looking really, really bad. And I was talking with my group of friends who came with me. I came with my friends PJ and Keon. So at this point, PJ is like 4-0, right? And the way he talked about it was as if we were all in the same situation. He said, like, doesn't matter what your record is, just don't lose again. Like, none of us are able to lose, just don't lose again. And I was just like, oh yeah, right, just don't lose. And then I just didn't lose again for the rest of the event. And well, yeah, it was a 9-round event with over 300 players. And yeah, it was certainly interesting. It was very, very fun. The deck felt strong. Like I mentioned in the last video, like, the deck does feel strong. It was just, I needed to clean up a lot of my play. Because that's one thing I will say about the deck as a whole. None of my matches really felt unwinnable, if I'm going to be honest. And the 2 draws, a lot of it felt like it wasn't necessarily that, like, I wasn't able to win. It more so felt like it was that I wasn't able to win fast enough. Because the first draw, I wasn't actually keeping track of time. I was just kind of like playing the game. And I was going through the process of, like, breaking the board. But if I realized how much time was left, I would have just entered battle and, like, attack. Because I lost because I was down by like 300 after I'd won game 1. And so I ended up getting a draw. I ended up playing against, what did I play against? I played against 2 branded Despia. As I've mentioned, that is one of my most comfortable matchups to play against with this deck. I have like a 90% win rate playing against that deck. But I actually found a deck that I am more comfortable playing against at this event, and that is Bestial Dragon Link. I played 2 of them, and I 2-0'd both of them. And one of the matches was just, like, really, really quick. Like, I think it was over in like 15 minutes. Let's see. I'll go ahead and jump right into the deck profile real quick. But I mentioned a lot of the stuff about the deck, in the last video. So if there's any questions you have about, like, the concept of the deck, you might want to go ahead and watch the previous video where I go a bit more in depth of it. But this one, I'm going to go ahead and hop into the deck profile. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the actual card list. It's pretty much identical. There is, like, some very minor changes. I talked about them in the previous video. There is one change that I didn't talk about, but I'll talk about it when I get to it. So, start things off. You are still playing the 3 Blue Eyes monsters. 1 Blue Eyes White Dragon, 2 Jet. Jet is still the best Blue Eyes monster, so that's the one we're playing more copies of. One thing I will say is that over the course of the event, there were a couple of times where I was having trouble getting the vanilla in rotation. There were a lot of times where I was like, I have a Jet Dragon chilling in the grave. If I can just get the Blue Eyes into rotation, we'll be good. Or, oh man, I have this Ultimate Fusion, but if I can just get the Blue Eyes in rotation, I can, start playing the game. So I have been considering maybe cutting down on 1 Jet Dragon and bumping up Stone of Ancients to 3. But, or maybe like, playing like a Dragon Shrine like I have in previous builds. But, I didn't dislike it. It's just a scenario that came up, and to be completely honest, I did still end up winning those games anyway. But yeah, and then we have the 2 Stone of Ancients that I played, and as I mentioned before, I'm considering bumping it up to 3. Um, Still playing 3 Keeper. This is the best starter in the deck. The 1 Spriggan's Kit, the 1 Mercurier, the 1 Albion, the Shrouded Dragon, the 2 Fallen of Albaz, the 1 Ecclesia, the 1 Maximus, the 1 Floor, the 1 Cobra, and the 1 Frog. Yeah, that's it for the monsters. It's very, very similar to the last list. I think it might be identical. I don't think I actually changed anything with the monster lineup. Um, I think that might be one of the differences. I'm not sure if I was playing this. Um, but yeah, and then onto the spells. Your engine is 3 Nadir, 3 High Spirits, 3 Branded Fusion. One of the changes I made was I bumped up High Spirits from 2 to 3. So the funny thing is, I was actually only playing 2, not because I didn't like it at 3, but it was because I only had 2 copies of the Super Rare Branded High Spirits, and I didn't want to play 2 Supers in a common. Now that I have the third one, I bumped it up to 3. And then lastly, you have the one-offs. You have not one instant fusion, 1 ultimate fusion, 1 instant fusion, 1 fusion deployment. These are all searchable through the Keeper combo. And Keeper of Dragonmap can actually search these 2 directly if you like open Branded Fusion. Or like you open Instant Fusion, you can Keeper search Branded Fusion and then do the Instant Fusion combo and search Ultimate Fusion. Or, you have a lot of versatility with that. And then the last card that is part of your engine, you have the 1 copy of Branded Retribution. The one of the things about this deck is that you actually use this as part of your end board. A lot of times I'm setting this because you go through the Maximus line and you have the cards engraved to be able to shuffle back with this, and then this adds back your Branded Fusion for the following turn. And then onto the utility cards I was playing. So I was playing the main thing about Branded Blue Eyes that separates it is that you get to play 3 Skill Drain. Being able to just constantly trigger your effects in the grave under Skill Drain. The Blue Eyes monsters provide you with the ability to just always have the biggest monster in that simplified game state. Though I actually didn't really draw this that much. I think I drew it twice, and I did win those games. But for the most part, it wasn't actually that relevant. As to be expected. It's not like it's searchable or anything. And then 3 copies of a card I talked about in the last video. 3 copies of Salesman. The 1 called by, the 2 copies of Super Polymerization, and then this is one of the changes from this list compared to the last one, is that my friend Don, he was letting some of us borrow cards for the event because he was like, do you guys need anything? I tried to get a Cartesia, but no one has a Cartesia. My friend Keon was borrowing 2 copies of Triple Tactics Thrust, and Don mentioned that he had 1 more left, and I was like, let me get it. I'll play the 1. You know how I am with drawing 1-ofs. And so I'm playing 1 copy of Triple Tactics Thrust alongside 1 copy of Triple Tactics Talents. I never actually searched the talents. I never actually played the talents. I never saw it. It just, it basically wasn't in the deck. But in theory, this card is very, very good. I do still believe it's very, very strong. It's nice to have the option. But almost every time I use this card, I search either Branded Fusion or Nadir Servant. Every single time I saw this card, it won me the game. Every single time. But yeah, that's it for the deck. It is 42 cards compared to last week's 40. One of the things that I did was that, I bumped up High Spirits to 3, and, I played the copy of Thrust. I took out the Imperms, and yeah, I didn't really miss them. I did. Well, actually, that's not true. I did miss them one time because I played against those combo decks, and I was like, man, I kind of wish I had some imperms right now. But at the end of the day, it's like aside from one, I was able to just play through the board. So it didn't really matter that I didn't have hand traps to stop the combo because I was able to just play through the board with my engine. There was only one combo deck where it's like, okay, I need to like have stuff to stop them, and imperm would not have been enough. You needed Dark Ruler for that. But I'll move on to the extra deck. The extra deck is pretty much identical aside from that one change that I mentioned in my last video. So we're playing Tyrant, Mirror Jade, Lubellion, Titaniclad, Brigand. Oh wait, actually this is another change. It is that my Brigand is now an Ultra. Yeah, it's like I've been playing the card for a while. The Ultra is cheap, so I was like, why not? 2 copies of Albion, 1 Albalinitis, 1 Chimera Felicia, 1 Dragostapelia, 1 Ambulo, 2 copies of Garura. This was the change I talked about in the last video. 1 copy of Entis, and 1 copy of Cypher Lord Omega. One thing about like playing Maximus in the deck is that like a lot of people don't play it because they are like, well, what if you're playing against Branded? They get to send stuff. That's why you play Omega. If you activate Maximus, they're probably not going to send to Albion. They're probably going to try to, plus extra. And then, they send their Albion, you send Omega, you shuffle back their Albion. And if they do send to Albion, you just let them send to Albion, and then they don't have Albion anymore. So, actually, one of the things that happened in both of my branded matches every time I started resolving Maximus, because a lot of times when I'm resolving Maximus, actually now I think about it, I lost a die roll against both branded players. And the thing is, by the time you're getting to use Maximus, they've typically already gone through a lot of the extra deck monsters that they're going to be able to plus off of. So now you're using Maximus, and now they're just losing their follow-up. They're losing their resources. And yeah, that was one of the things that I thought was really strong. It performed very well. Onto the side deck, it's very similar, but again, I talked about the changes in the last video and why I made them. First card, you already know, it's going to be Dino Wrestler Pankratops. Same as always, 2 copies of Ghost Bell. I didn't opt to play Ash this time. I didn't miss Ash at all. Even though I played against Branded Despia twice, I didn't feel like I needed Ash. I was able to just beat them with my engine. Then we played the 3 copies of Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood. As I mentioned in the last video, Nib just didn't feel impactful. Every time I had Nib, it didn't really feel like it did anything to the combo players, whereas Dogwood, it really makes them consider what they're doing. It puts them in a position where they're like, okay, do I end on a weaker board? Whereas like Nib just like turns the Appaloosa from 3 materials to 2. Or like, it just trades for a negate, but it doesn't actually do anything to impact the board. Whereas Dogwood either impacts the board or it forces my opponent into a position where they are not going to kill me next turn, and I'll be able to get into the grind game and eventually snowball them out of the game. And the last 2 monsters, we're playing the 1 Ross Disciple and the 1 Jinzo as the expulsion targets. Onto the spells, we're playing 2 Book of Eclipse. I might swap these out for the Dark Holes. But I wanted to play this. I cited it in a couple of times, but I never actually ended up using it. In theory, it's good, but I never ended up using it. 2 Dark Ruler. One of the things I realized from the last regional was that like I need Dark Ruler in the side. Sprite Bake's too big of a board. There's like the combo decks that just end on too big of a board. I did side this in against Runic Naturia. I sided against a couple of decks, and every deck that I needed this against, I was able to draw it and win the game, so that was cool. We're playing the 2 copies of Twin Twisters. I did play against the 1 Trap deck. I played against Trap Tricks. And I didn't actually end up needing the Twin Twisters to win against Trap Tricks because of Tyrant Dragon. Hold up. Let me just, real quick, let's see if we can read it together. Oh, yeah, there it is. Like, it's, there's this line of text on Tyrant Dragon. You see it right there? It says, unaffected by trap cards or effects. Yeah, and it's this really big monster, so that's why I was able to 2-0 Trap Tricks really quick. Like I said, I just beat them with my engine. And then, the 1 Branded Expulsion. I do think Branded Expulsion is going to get banned, but, play it while it's illegal. But yeah, that's it for the deck. It performed very, very well. It was very strong. So now I want to talk a bit more about the actual event itself. Yeah, so I did end up playing through 9 rounds of Swiss. I won round one. I got two draws. I got my one loss, and then I won out the rest of the event. I played against what I play against. What did I play against? I played against Branded Despia, two Bestial Dragon Link, one Mathmech, one Runic Naturia, one Tratrix, and then the two rogue decks I played against was Adventurous Synchron and one Draco Slayer. Um, I blah blah blah. One of the things that I was doing over the course of the event was that I was able to. What I was doing a lot was I was setting up my like mat. I would set up my mat. I would set up my field center, right? So I'd be like, I put down my mat, put down my field center, put my deck box off to the side. I would, have my dice. I'd have my sleeves, and I would go, guess what deck I'm playing? And you'd have like two types of reactions to this. You would have the players who would either go, they would just assume I'm playing a meta deck and I'm trying to bluff them or something, right? And they would go, I don't know, maybe Kashtira. And you would have the people who would go, they would chuckle a bit and they would go, I think Dark Magician. The players who thought I was playing a meta deck, every single time without fail, I would summon a Blue Eyes monster and then they would like reel their head back and be like, wait, what? You're playing Blue Eyes? And then I would like gesture to all of my stuff and I'd be like, really? You're surprised? But yeah, that was one of the things about the event that I just really enjoyed was over the course of the event, a lot of players started like, wanting to watch my matches. There were, players that would be watching my matches. There was one time where like the table next to us, they were like, I'm not really sure, like, because their opponent was like doing their combo. It's like, I think I'm just gonna watch this match. A couple of the judges were like watching my matches. A lot of people were just like, trying to see like, oh, are you still in? Are you still in? Are you still in? And yeah, it was just, like that kind of hyped me up a bit. There were, adding on to the highlights, there was Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon came in clutch because one of my matches I got down to like 100 life points and then I summoned Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon. I hit over all their monsters and I like OTK'd them. It was one of the Branded Destiny matches. So this player was like maining the Gimmick Puppet Lock. I lost the die roll. They were maining the Gimmick Puppet Lock, and like my hand was hold on, let me show you the hand. It was very very bad. So hold up. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you this hand. And keep in mind, I'm Gimmick Puppet locked. This was the hand right here, and this was the hand, and then I drew into Instant Fusion, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so this is what I had. So I got Gimmick Puppet locked to game one. I got Gimmick Puppet locked. I went Nadir. I searched Ecclesia. I went Garur. I drew into Instant Fusion. I went Salesman, call the Mercurier to like, so they wouldn't be able to like Mercurier me. They had the Mercurier on board. I normal some of the Ecclesia. I searched for Fleur de Lis, and what I should have done was go battle and hit over the Mercurier, but I forgot that I had a battle phase because like, when you like don't do anything, you kind of forget that you're going second sometimes. I think that if I was to go battle phase and hit over the monster, I might have been able to like survive by like blocking with the Fleur de Lis. I set the Instant Fusion and I set an extra Nadir, but they also had the Duster, and I was just like, man, you had everything. And then game two, I was like, okay, I don't want to draw triple Nadir again, so I sided one out. And then I opened two Nadir. But then also game two, the player kept in they kept in the Gimmick Puppet lock, and I was like, are you kidding me? So I got Gimmick Puppet locked again game two. But I didn't die because, I had the Nadir, I did the same thing. But this time I actually remembered that I had a battle phase, so I was hitting over their monsters. But then they actually Gimmick Puppet me lock multiple times because they used Retribution to add back Expulsion, and then like did it again the following turn. But then this time I think my hand was something like, what was it? It was like two Nadir. What was it? It was two Nadir. I think Branded and High Spirits. Yeah, it was two Nadir, Branded, High Spirits. Max. No, it was two Nadir, Brandon, High Spirits, Floor, because I searched the Maximus. That's what happened. Where's Floor? It was Floor, Stone of Ancients. It was like this. What did I draw for turn? What did I draw for turn? I can't remember what I drew for turn. Oh, no, I didn't draw Super Poly yet. It was like this. I think it was. No, I know I didn't open Super Poly because if I opened Super Poly, I wouldn't have gotten Gimmick Puppet Lock because I would just Super Poly and draw phase. I know. I think I drew Super Poly off of a Nadir because what was the card I drew for turn? I can't remember. But going back to the story, right? So I went Nadir at Ecclesia. I hit over their monster. I got Gimmick Puppet Lock again. So like they had killed the Gimmick Puppet, the Floor, and the Ecclesia. And then on the following turn, I went Nadir again at back of the Floor, sending like Entis, I think, to pop like a back row. And then I normal summoned the Stone of Ancients. I was like, I had to do math, and I was like, okay, calculating. I was like, hey, here's like, look at the timer. Give me 20 seconds. I need to, think about the game state, blah, blah, blah. And I was like fanning through the graveyard. I was like, keeping track of everything. I was doing math, and I was like, okay, I normal summon the Stone of Ancients. I hit over the monster, and then I believe I set Super Poly because I ended up drawing it off of the Nadir. And I remember now. It was Jet Dragon. That was the other card because I had Jet Dragon and Grave, and I was thinking to myself, if I can just get the vanilla in rotation, I'll be good. And what ended up happening was, he started like attacking into me. I was left with I believe I had so I had 100 life points after he attacked with everything. And then I remember, because keep in mind, at this point, I've been trying to get the vanilla in rotation, and I was running into this problem for like the last couple of games. So I was just like, man, I'm just trying to get this vanilla in rotation. And so I went end phase, Stone of Ancients effect, summon Blue Eyes White Dragon, and I like yelled it out, and like people who were at the surrounding table started like laughing and whatnot. But then I summoned the Blue Eyes White Dragon in the end phase, right? I summoned the Blue Eyes White Dragon in the end phase. And then, it went to my turn. I had Ultimate Fusion. I think that's the card I had. I had Ultimate Fusion. Because I went Ultimate Fusion. I fused in the Tyrant. And I went Battle Phase. They had like 3 or 4 attack position monsters. I'm pretty sure I had to use this at some point to search for Fallen Albaz. I'm not sure if it was Albion or Albaz, but I had a Fallen of Albaz in my hand. Where is my Fallen of Albaz? Oh, it must be in this file. Yeah, they're in this file. So I had a Fallen of Albaz. I set the Fallen of Albaz. I contact fused off one of their monsters to make Albalenitus. And then I Ultimate Fusion, shuffle back the Albaz and the Blue Eyes. I summoned Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon. Then I went Battle Phase. I hit over, I think, 3 of his monsters. I made sure to hit the Aluber last so that it wouldn't, summon. And then I hit directly with Albalenitus. No, that was that. Well, no. I super polyed. How did I do this? I super polyed the Lubel. No, that's what it was. So I hit over the Aluber last, and the last monster on his board was a defense position Bestial Lubellion. And then I super polyed the Tyrant Dragon and the Lubellion for Garura. I hit for 3k with Garura, and then I attacked directly with Albalenitus for game, and that's I got the OTK. And there was another time where I did the Tyrant Dragon OTK, and after I played against Adventure Synchron. They made their big combo board. I played through all of the interruptions, and then I activated Chipper Tactics Thrust. I searched Branded Fusion. Then I went Branded Fusion, Albaz, Blue Eyes White Dragon, and then I went into Tyrant Dragon, and I, attacked over everything. I went Nadir, got Maximus, and then basically I cleared the rest of his board, and I had the Floor plus Retribution. And then from there, my opponent had to play through that. They weren't able to play through that. And actually, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of the people were watching my matches, and one of the judges was actually even watching my matches. And this actually came to my benefit because What happened was the Adventure Synchron player was slow playing me after I had broken their board, and so the judge gave them a slow play warning and told them, oh, you gotta pick up the pace, because they only had like one thing they could do. They went Rhoda, search junk synchron, and the only thing they could really do was normal summon the junk synchron. So they normal summoned the junk synchron and made black rose, and then I negated the black rose with floor. They passed, and then I killed them next turn. We ended up getting a 3 minute time extension, and then after the 3 minute time extension, I went ahead and I was like, "You can." They went first. They did their combo, but I activated Spooky Dogwood. Um, and I'm pretty sure they like panicked because I chained the Spooky Dogwood to them activating Griffin Rider to special summons. So I gained 2,000, and then somehow they used basically their entire hand to end on Baron de Fleur and like the token. And so on my turn, my hand was Salesman, Dogwood, Double Dark Ruler, Fallen of Albaz, and I drew Branded Fusion for turn. So I went Salesman, called Baron de Fleur, and then I went Salesman, called Baron de Fleur, normal summoned Albaz, pitched a Dark Ruler, and fused into what's the card? I fused into Albion, and then I fused. No, was it Albion? No, it was Albion. So I made Albion, and then I fused off of Albion, and I made Alba Lenidus. I went Battle Phase, and I went Mirror Jade effect to banish the token, and then I went Mirror Jade, Albion, Alba Lenidus for 8k, and I OTK'd them, and it was like right as time ran out. And then that was, another one of the highlights. Yeah, against Bestial Dragon Link, I just was not allowed to resolve my effects. I just kept getting Bestialed. It was like Bestial into Seal into Bestial into Seal, and I was just like, man, I'm never gonna get my cards in rotation. But I was able to just keep on board field presence. I was able to just keep forcing out their stuff with my other engine. And it was just there was too much for them to keep up with. And then ultimately, what happened was I won game one, and then game two they were going first. We didn't have time. I was going to just chum block with the floor or whatever to. Actually, no. Did I? What happened? Wait a minute. Why did that scenario happen? Hmm. Because I won game one, and then game two, what happened? I'm trying to remember. But basically, what happened is they were comboing, and they activated Chaos Emperor to. Oh, actually, I remember. They did their first turn, and then I broke the board a bit, and then I ended on some stuff. But Bestials do be Bestian, and then on their turn they were trying to figure out how to play through the board or whatever. I was paying attention to time, so I realized I was like, okay, I'm just gonna let them play, let them do their combo, and they were trying to put game on board to OTK me, but there were 20 seconds left, so I just let them combo. And if they tried to enter battle, I was just gonna use floor to block, so they couldn't just attack me. And I had three monsters on board, so they slowly they started picking apart my board, and then they activated Chaos Emperor, the Pendulum, to add back a card, so they paid 1,000 life points. And then I was able to. They went into Underworld Goddess to get rid of my last card, and then I special summoned Floor and to block the attack, and time ran out, so I ended up winning that one. And then that was round seven, I believe. One thing about that player as well. This player was a Fire Emblem fan, so we spent some time talking about Fire Emblem. We were just throughout the game, we were just talking about Fire Emblem. Um, and I think the next round eight, I played against Dragon Link again, and a player came up to me, and because at this point, there wasn't really anyone who was really questioning that I was playing Blue Eyes, because a lot of people knew I was playing Blue Eyes at that point, because I'm at the high tables, and when you're later in the tournament and you're doing well, people are just gonna know what you're playing. Um, a player came up to me and they were like, "Hey, you're playing Blue Eyes, you're doing really well. Does the name Haltessia Gaming ring a bell to you?" And I went, Yeah, it does, considering it's my channel. And they were just like, "What? No way!" And I pulled up my YouTube Studio app and I showed them, and then they were just like, "Oh my goodness, that's so cool! I definitely want to talk to you afterwards." But I went, I had to play my match, so I played my match, and I didn't end up running into them after that. And I was, kind of disappointed because I was like, "Man, I would have taken a picture with them." Posted on the community tab, and but yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, I played against another Dragon Link player. Game one, got hand trapped. I got hand trapped a bunch. So what happened was I went Branded Fusion, I made Albion, and then they gammaed the Albion, and then I was like, okay. Went for the Nadir line. Did that play. I sent Garura, added Maximus, blah 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 blah. But then I went to end phase and I went Albion effect and they chained a Bestial because they didn't realize you had to do it beforehand. And then basically I ended up winning game one. So basically I didn't really do much of a combo. I just had Maximus, but my three set cards were Skill Drain, Call by, Super Poly. And they started their turn. They were talking about how like their hand wasn't that good. The first thing they did was normal summon Seyfert. I called by it, and then the second thing they did was activate Quick Launch, and I was like, Seyfert, Quick Launch, and Dragon Link is a bad hand. And I was like, that wasn't a bad hand. I just stopped your play. But then, they went for Quick Launch. They went through the Tracer line. And when they had Tracer and Recharger on board, I Super Polyed them. And then So the funny thing is, right? On the following turn, I was like, I had the potential OTK because I had like an empty board. And I was thinking, like, okay, but if they have a Gamma, then I like lose the game. And I was like, And I was thinking about it. And then I was like, okay, give me like 15 seconds to like consider the game state, blah, 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 blah. And like I was like checking the grave, and then I like looked over in the banish pile. I was like, oh wait. And then I, committed to the OTK and I OTK'd them. Yeah, I was playing around Gamma, but like they Gamma me the previous turn. Their driver was banished. I didn't need to play around Gamma. And then game two, they went first. They ended on Boral End and Borlo Savage Dragon. And they had a Starlight Savage, which was really cool. And then I, went to my turn. I went Branded in High Spirits, searched for Fallen of Albaz, and they were like, they flipped up D Barrier, and I was like, Chain Super Volley. And then, I went into Nadir, I got the Blue Eyes stuff in rotation, and I just like OTK'd them that turn. And then they were like, I thought D Barrier would be enough to beat Branded, and I was like, that was your mistake. You assumed side patterns for Branded, and you didn't consider my other stuff. And as I mentioned in my last video, that's one of the reasons why I like this variant over like Branded Despia, is because this deck doesn't lose to the same cards. D Barrier is not an auto you lose the game card for this deck. In a similar manner, like Ash Blossom or Branded Fusion is not an auto lose situation. Because like one of the things that stood out to me about this event was how a lot of the times I had like weak hands. I had weak hands a lot of the time. I was getting Ashed on Branded Fusion. Like a lot of my, like the ideal scenario wasn't really happening for me for the majority of the event, but it didn't matter, and I was still winning those games. And just in general, that's, one of the things I said that I liked about this deck is that it doesn't really have as many scenarios where it just auto loses. But yeah, Cobra, no. But yeah, that was just, a lot of things that came up during the event. I really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, after the event, we took pictures and everything, and we went ahead and went on home. So I'm gonna go ahead and do. Oh, I do want to show like a couple of lines. So we'll just use like Kit or something, right? So if you have Kit plus like any dragon in hand, so we'll use like Keeper, or rather, if you have like a normal summon, a normal like a monster on board, Branded Fusion access, and like a dragon in hand, you have access to like I'll just show the combos and show what I'm talking about. So we're gonna do this just to showcase like basically focus on the combo, not necessarily like the ideal scenario, right? So we're gonna go, we're gonna normal summon the frog. You would never do this, but remember we just need a monster on board to banish. So we're gonna go Branded Fusion. Again, you would never be doing this, but we're just showcasing the, the combo. So we're going to go Branded Fusion, send those two. We're going to summon the Albion. We're going to go Albion effect. We're going to fuse off these two. We're going to make Lubellion. Oh, wait a minute. No, we're just going to make Mirror Jade. Mirror Jade effect. We're going to send for cost an Albion. Right, we're going to send Albion. We're going to banish our monster on board. It doesn't matter what it is. We're going to proceed to end phase. Going to go Albion effect. And we're going to get the copy of Branded in High Spirits. Right? Then still in end phase, we're going to go Branded in High Spirits. We're going to reveal the dragon in our hand. We're going to pitch it. No, so first we're supposed to send from the extra deck. So we're going to send the Titaniclad, right? And we're going to pitch the dragon. We're going to search Mercurier. Now keep in mind, the focus is not like the actual monsters being used. You wouldn't necessarily use those monsters. Obviously you have Keeper, you normal Keeper. But it's just to kind of showcase like what you're able to do, right? Because it's just any dragon. Keeper has to be a dragon. So like keep in mind, if you have an extra Keeper, you can do this line. So search Mercurier, end phase, Titaniclad effect. We're going to special summon the Ecclesia. And we're going to search for the Fleur-de-Lis, right? And then, you know, end phase Stone of Ancients. Going to get our Jet Dragon. So, normally, you know, this type of line would be one interruption with the Mirror Jade. But because we play Branded High Spirits, if you have a dragon in hand, you get to turn that one interruption into two interruptions. And then also, I wanted to just kind of showcase... Oh, actually, so the best hand that I drew all day, right? I drew it in round 9. It was the best hand I drew all day. I was like, I'm not losing this game. Where is it? So it was Branded Fusion, Salesman, Nadir, Skill Drain, and Dogwood. This was the hand. I was like, I'm not losing this game. And I did not lose that game. But also, I want to kind of showcase like the optimal line. I never actually did this line because, you know, like I said, I was getting hand trapped a lot. And my plays were usually getting stopped. But just to kind of showcase why this deck is so strong is that, like, if you're able to reduce the power level of the deck by half, that's still strong enough to win because the power level of the deck is just so high. So, it's a 3-card combo. But it's just like any one of your good discards and like a 2-card combination of like any one of these, right? It's like any 2-card combination of like these. If you have a 2-card combination of like any of these, plus like, you know, one of the good discards, like, you know, you have like your Stone of Ancients, or just in general, like, any 2-card combination plus, like, access to this, right? Or, like, you know, the good discards, so maybe you have, like, Jet Dragon or whatever, right? So, just for the sake of it, we'll use Jet Dragon. We're going to do this. So, 1, 2, and 3. So, we're going to have this as the hand, right? It's going to be Keeper, Nadir, Jet Dragon, right? So, we're going to start with Normal Summon Keeper. This is the best Normal Summon in the deck. Pitch the Jet Dragon. And we're going to add the Instant Fusion. We're going to go Instant Fusion. Special the... Where are you? Special the Ambulo. Ambulo effect. Right? Ambulo effect. And we're going to get the Frog. Then we go Ambulo effect. Tribute. Special. This doesn't come up very often, but keep in mind, if you have a Dragos Apellia that's put a Predator counter on your opponent's stuff, you can actually tribute their monster to use that effect. It didn't come up at the event, but it is important to know. Not Dragos Apellia, but Cobra effect. This is where you add the Branded Fusion. Someone had mentioned in the last video, why search Instant Fusion over Branded Fusion? This is why, is because searching Instant Fusion is searching Branded Fusion, except it also gives you more card advantage. So we get the Branded Fusion, right? Then we activate the Branded Fusion. We're going to send our Stone of Ancients, we're going to send an Albaz, right? If you open the branded fusion, right, alongside that, maybe you search the ultimate fusion because you'll have access. You put the blue eyes on board, and then you have ultimate fusion as another interruption. So we go branded fusion. Then we're going to make Albion, right? And we're going to Albion effect. We're going to make Mirror Jade. So we're going to fuse the Albaz and the Ambulo from Grave. And we're going to make Mirror Jade. Mirror Jade, where you at? There you go. Make the Mirror Jade. Then we scale the Frog, right? Frog effect fuse. Make Dragosphelia. Where are you, Dragosphelia? There we go. Make Dragosphelia. Then we activate Nadir. Send Garura. Add Maximus. Add Maximus. The reason I add Maximus instead of Ecclesia is because Maximus, if it gets like negated, it's still a 3k body, whereas Ecclesia is just kind of a sitting duck a lot of the time. And also, if like, let's say they like clear these off, you can still special summon the Maximus as opposed to the Ecclesia. So we're going to do that, and then you get a random card to your hand. Sure, we drew Kit. It's pretty cool. Special the Maximus, banish the Garura. Maximus effect, send 2. Send Titaniclad Brigand, right? Titaniclad Brigand. Proceed to end phase, right? So proceed to end phase. We're going to go Brigand effect. Do this first. So you can get the Mercurial in case they have like a Skullmeister or like a, right? So like in case they have like a Skullmeister or a Gamma, you want to get the Mercurial first so that you potentially have the negate. Titaniclad effect. You can search summon the Ecclesia and add the floor, or you can just search the floor. I'm going to just search the floor because I have no room. As you see, there are 4 monsters on board. If I'm going to be summoning a Jet Dragon, then if I had an Ecclesia, I would not have room to summon my floor. So we're going to do that, and we're going to special summon the Blue Eyes Jet Dragon, or you can summon the Blue Eyes White Dragon because you have Jet Engrave, and then go through that. But yeah, we have the Jet Dragon, and then that is it, I think. But just looking at all of the card advantages, and also notice how if you had pitched a stone, you literally would not have enough room to use all of the stuff that you have. So it's like you generated so much card advantage that you ran out of room, and also that's before even resolving the Albion to set the brand of Retribution, because I didn't do that yet. So you go Albion effect, set branded Retribution. This is part of your end board. So yeah, it's like, as you can see, the power level deck is really, really strong. So it's like, even if you, like, to put into perspective, this is what, we rip 2 cards out of the extra deck. We have Mirror Jade effect to banish. We have Dragosphelia negate. We have Mercurial negate. We have Flora negate. We have a counter trap and branded Retribution. We have Blue Eyes Jet Dragon to protect. And we're going to be able to Maximus again on the following turn. Retribution adds back branded fusion next turn. It's like, it's a lot. And if somehow, the Jet Dragon goes to grave, or either even then, because we have the other Jet Dragon in grave, we can go Stone of Ancients, add back the Jet Dragon, then we have a discard for something, and it's just, we generated so much card advantage. But yeah, that is going to be it for this video. This has been Arim from Haltessiagaming. If you want to see all the deck profiles before they get uploaded to the channel, please consider subscribing to the Patreon. It is $5 to get access to everything. If you just want to be able to see the deck list as soon as they, as soon as I like top a tournament with them, the deck lists do get posted on the Patreon. For the $3 tier, you get access to the the early release stuff. And if you want to get access to everything, see like my deck building discussions and all that other stuff, see all the videos that don't get uploaded to the channel for whatever reason, all of the deck building discussion, all of the behind the scenes stuff, subscribe to the $5 here. And with that, this has been Arim from Haltessiagaming. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Share it with your friends. Thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day. Now, let's play the button minigame. Let's see if it'll work the first time. Well, we knew that wasn't going to happen. Come on, man.